Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another 1/6 scale unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different. We're taking a look at this piece right here. It's a diorama style display base for your Batman figures. I showed a couple of these off recently on a live stream and people seem to respond really well, so I decided to pick up a whole bunch of them, and we will be starting off with this one right here because, as you all know, I love me some Batman goodness. Now I don't exactly know if I have to disclose that this is unlicensed, because it's literally just a gargoyle head display base. I mean, they have printed Batman up the top here, but nothing about this is really encroaching on any intellectual property rights. But do bear in mind that it is potentially an unlicensed piece of artwork. Now you can see an image of the base on the side, Batman base station, and that same image on the back. Now I've never really owned any of these diorama style display bases from Toysbox before. I have had various other things from the company, but nothing that was meant to be a diorama style piece. So this is going to be an all new experience for me. I have picked up pretty much all of those diorama bases that I showed off on the live stream, so stay tuned to the channel for that. Now right off the bat we do have a dynamic pole, which is always a good sign in case we want to have Batman in the air. Now this thing seems to be housed in styrofoam, my least favorite way of packing items, so unfortunately when you do unbox this you are going to have a bit of a mess on your hands, as is evidenced by the fact that styrofoam is literally going everywhere in the review station. And of course, here we have the base itself. And this is a big chunky boy. I was not expecting the base to be as big as it is. And honestly, I cannot wait to pop some Batman figures on it. I don't exactly know where I'm going to have this in the collection, but only time will tell, because I have a feeling that this piece is going to be too cool not to display. And of course, as I was just complaining about all the styrofoam, you can see a bunch of styrofoam is now attached to it because of the static electricity. So what we're going to do now is clean up the display base, pop it down in the light box, and take a closer look. And here we have the base itself, and this thing is absolutely stunning. But before we talk about this, let's quickly talk about the included dynamic flight pole. It's relatively simple. It literally screws in the bottom there, and then you can have your Batman sort of gliding down onto the gargoyle. You also do get a regular Hot Toy style waist clamp, except with this one, you get no foam padding whatsoever. So I'd advise either adding some padding or just straight up not using this. I personally won't be using these pieces. I'll simply be having my Batman figures standing atop this base. Now let's talk about the base itself. First of all, it's relatively heavy. It's a super dense ABS style plastic, so it does feel really sturdy and really darn heavy. So I would potentially sort of caution against using this in a glass cabinet. It might cause some damage. Now on the bottom you can see Batman base station, and it is actually a numbered release, 219 of 488, so it's a limited edition item, and you can see some various stickers on there. Now let's talk about the base itself. There are a bunch of details on here, including some mini gargoyles on the side, this bat logo that extends around the edges, and this of course would be the head of the bat symbol, and then on the back you get even more detail with another bat symbol. That is very Arkham inspired, so I do technically think that this base is meant to be used with an Arkham Batman, but that's not stopping us from popping a bunch of different Batman figures on this base, as I personally will be doing. Now as you can see, it does have a step down, so technically you could have a figure on the top here or down here below, or even you could have two figures on the base. It definitely is wide enough for that. Now also, you're not really limited to only using this with Bat-style characters. I can definitely see people using a Spidey figure with this base, having him perched atop this gargoyle. That would be an awesome display option as well. Maybe even a Catwoman. You could have her perched on the end there also. There are so many options to go with here. That's why I'm starting to get into these diorama bases just a little bit more. They add a little bit more oomph into the collection and just give you a slightly more versatile display. What we are going to do now though is get a few Batman figures figures out here, and of course, pop them on top of the display base. And here we have our first Batman figure standing atop the Gargoyle display base, and this looks absolutely sensational. Now, how this is going to work is I'm going to pop various Batman figures on the base, and you're going to head down to the comments and let me know your favorite combos, or if you have any other combo ideas, because there are so many possibilities here. You can go with Batman, you can go with Daredevil, you could even go with Joker or Deathstroke, or even Spider-Man. There are so many different possibilities that you can come up with in your own personal display, but I will be sticking probably more than likely with Batman for mine. And of course, starting off with 89 Batman, this looks awesome. I love the way this comes across. You've got Batman standing at the base of the gargoyle with his cape flowing in the wind. This is stunning. It pretty much elevates the figure to statue territory, and I don't mind that one bit. It's super dynamic, it gives him a proper setting to stand within. All that's missing from this scene is a backdrop piece with a Gotham City skyline, and then in my opinion that would be one hell of a display. But yeah, so far, I know this is only the first Batman that we've popped on the base, but I'm really liking it. Next up, here we have a combo that I personally already knew was going to look awesome, and it's of course the BVS Batman, with a very simple, classy pose, just one leg up on the base. But boy does it look dynamic. I'm loving the way this looks. I may even pair this Batman with this display permanently in the collection, because yeah, that's how much I'm liking this. It's a really simple pose, but really darn effective. He's brooding, he's mean, he's standing on top of the gargoyle looking over Gotham City. It just adds him into that element of being Batman in Gotham versus just being a figure on a glass shelf. Having a diorama piece such as this kind of sets the scene really nicely for the figures, and they go from being just a standalone item to being something that's part of their own environment. And I think that's why dioramas are starting to appeal to me more and more. This one, just being the first that we're looking at on the channel, has me super excited to get to the other ones, such as of course the full-on street diorama with the back of the building. That one's going to be awesome, and we can do some full-on fight scene style posing with Batman versus Deathstroke and stuff like that, so yeah, I'm really darn excited. Next up, here we have the Sideshow Collectibles Batman on the base, and yeah, this looks awesome as well. It's a Batman that I don't mind having in a crazy pose for an extended period of time, because his suit is entirely made of stretchy fabric. So yeah, we can have him properly crouched, hunched over on this base, and it looks awesome. So very classic comic book style Batman. And this is another one that is a contender for a permanent display in the collection. I'm really having a tough time deciding which is my favorite here, so it definitely is going to fall to you guys and gals in the comments to let me know, because if you ask me, they're all my favorite. I'm super impressed with how this base is bringing these Batman figures to life. And by no means is this a new thing for those of you out there who have a bunch of diorama pieces. But for me, yeah, I'm getting really excited because my figures are starting to look even more awesome, simply with the addition of this big honkin' display base. And it's quite surprising that I haven't done something like this sooner. So yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this base, and this combo looks awesome. And of course, for the final Batman to go on the display base for the video, it had to be an Arkham Batman. And what better way to display this guy than with the Batman Beyond figure? This is also giving me statue vibes. I'm really loving the way this looks as well, and being one of the only Batman figures to be made out of a fabric material from Hot Toys, you can kind of go crazy with the posing, and you shouldn't have to worry about any creasing here either, just like the Sideshow Batman. It's a huge plus, and this guy looks awesome on this display base. So, what have I learned throughout the course of this video? Well, number one, I love this base. Number two, dioramas really can elevate your Hot Toys and Sideshow figures. And number three, I'm kind of a fool for not going for these bases and other diorama style pieces sooner, because yeah, I'm in love with this thing. It's simple. It's literally a gargoyle head display base, but it adds something. It has that je ne sais quoi that literally elevates the figure 2 or 3-fold. It's really, really impressive in hand. If you're thinking about ways to spice up your collection, this is definitely one of them. Go ahead and pick up this display base and stay tuned to the channel for reviews on the rest of them to see if they're any good, but by all means, this one definitely gets my tick of approval. If you are looking to pick it up, it is available from toyswonderland.com, and the link for that is of course down in the description below. If you are heading down there, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as brand new content goes live on the channel. Also check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Leg up, and honest.